right, guys. So today I want to talk about dogmas in alternative medicine. So in alternative medicine, there are a certain number of dogmas, and you're not allowed to practice alternative medicine if you don't adhere to these dogmas. So basically, one of the dogmas is that you're not going to get anywhere unless you do detoxification. So when I explain homeopathy to anyone, immediately their response is, you don't do detoxification? And basically, almost all of holistic medicine is about detoxification. You're not allowed to talk about anything else, and if you don't talk about detoxification, you don't even exist, right? And in classical homeopathy, there is no detoxification. There just isn't. We it's a different modality, right? And what you have to realize is that, for example, modern homeopaths, so-called modern homeopaths, which is fake homeopathy, they came up with the idea that we're not going to survive homeopathy. We're not going to get any clients, and we're not going to survive if we don't start talking about detoxification all the time. By the way, just a side note here, I'm not against detoxification. I think it's a good thing. I just don't think all of holistic medicine should be that. Okay, just a side note. So the homeopaths realized that we're not gonna have any clients if we don't mesh with the dogmas of holistic medicine. Because nowadays, if you go on Facebook, go anywhere else, all you can see is detoxification, and there's a couple other things, but I'll talk about those later. So it's all about, if you don't detox, if you don't do detox therapy, you don't exist. So the modern homeopaths realized this, and now modern homeopathy is all about detoxification protocols, like one of the main things they do. Maybe you've heard the name Tinnis Smits is the guy who they follow, but it's fake. In classical homeopathy, we don't use detoxification. So you have to be aware of that. Why? Because it's an energetic medicine. We're matching the frequencies of the remedy with the frequency of the patient to strengthen the patient's strengthen the patient energetically, right? That's what we're doing. There's no need for detoxification. And by the way, protocols, if you're giving protocols in homeopathy, it contradicts the scientific principles of homeopathy. So homeopathy is built on the principle of the inductive scientific method from Bacon, from the Enlightenment, which is matching symptoms to your experiments conducted in reality, matching your patient to that. And protocols deviate from that, so you become unscientific because you're not matching anything to anything. You're not matching it to experiments. You just say that, oh, this patient needs detoxification for some reason. They might, but you just say that and you start doing it. That's not scientific. So you deviate from the scientific principle. Homeopathy is degraded significantly just because you want to fit in with the modern dogmas of holistic healing, right? And that's very sad. That's very sad. That's one of the dogmas, right? Detoxification. And the other one is, of course, constantly focusing on emotional traumas, which is kind of getting into the esoteric stuff, psychoanalysis. So in modern holistic medicine, if you don't talk constantly about psychoanalyzing the patient and linking everything to past traumas and past lives and some kind of inner conflict inside you. If you don't talk about that, you don't exist. That's one of the other dogmas of modern holistic medicine. Everything is emotional. Everything has has like a gematria significance. So like a numerological or a esoteric significance. Everything is symbology, and we just have to psychoanalyze you all the time, and that's the only thing that matters. So detox and this topic, this whole psychoanalytic esoteric stuff. That's all there is to it. There's nothing else exists outside of that. So the so-called modern homeopaths realize that, and modern homeopathy is highly psychoanalytic. If you look up Sankaran and Jan Scholten, those are the two primary exponents of this type of homeopathy. All they do is psychoanalyze you, speculate about your base traumas from past lives and whatever. Jan Scholten especially is especially pathetic. So he compiles remedy information by meditating on mythology and stuff, like the journey of Hercules and the similarity of that. And that's how he writes his remedy information. So that's, again, degrading homeopathy. Just to get patients, modern homeopaths adapted to that because they thought they're not going to survive. And it's true, we're not going to survive as classical scientific homeopaths, but that's another story. I'm not willing to sacrifice homeopathy for that. And so modern homeopaths came up with the psychoanalytic homeopathy, symbolic homeopathy, and that's degrading homeopathy completely. So homeopathy, as I said, is a scientific method-based methodology. So we're matching the symptoms of the remedy, which are based on experiments, to the symptoms of the patient. And if you deviate from that, what you have to know is that all of the masters of homeopathy basically were against that, right? All the great masters of homeopathy were against deviating from that. So, for example, Herring, Constantine Herring, was one of the biggest homeopaths that ever lived. If our school ever gives up the strict inductive method of Hahnemann, we are lost and deserve to be mentioned only as a caricature in the history of medicine. Adolphe Lippe, we have nothing to do, we have nothing to do with the man. We have to correct errors taught and disseminated. We shall expose these errors which must lead our school astray. So Hahnemann also was specifically against things like the doctrine of signatures, which is this esoteric doctrine that we have to look at the substance we are making the remedy from, and the external properties of that substance will lead us to how it's going to be effective. So that's kind of magical thinking, right? So the patient has, I'm going to give an eagle remedy to a patient because he has a sense of freedom. And that's very dumb. If you do that, that's very, very dumb, because that has nothing to do with the homeopathic method, scientific method. You're throwing it out the window and you're using a esoteric, magical, symbological thinking, right? And so Hahnemann was specifically against like the doctrine of signatures and any kind of esoteric speculation, okay? Any kind of esoteric speculation. I'm not against esotericism, by the way. I'm not against detoxification. I'm not against psychoanalysis, but these things have nothing to do with homeopathy, right? So some people say that basically the homeopathy's basis is the the doctrine of signatures, which is a magical phenomenon, and which is and so you're just um, you're just degrading homeopathy. And yeah, I think that's it for today. Thank you so much.